All right. Welcome, everybody, to the first day of alignment. So, okay, I knew that was going to happen. I don't know if you heard the feedback, but I think I got it all figured out now. So, today we are going to step into greater alignment with everything that you desire, with all the things that you've been saying that you would love to have in your life. I'm going to be successful. I'm going to be at the top of my leaderboard in my company, or I'm going to reach this success in my business. I'm going to make however many dollars a month. And or this level of success in my health and wellness journey, right? Like whatever it is that you are striving for, it's for you. You can have it. The only reason that it's not here already is because there's some misalignment. This thing that you've been speaking into reality, into your space for so long, it's already here. You visioned it, you imagined it, like you've activated that into your reality. It is a possibility. But the only reason that it's not already here is because you haven't aligned yourself with it. So, what do I mean by that? How do we align ourselves with this desire that you have? It all comes down to that inner critic, that inner talk, that chatter that happens in your head. You know, you say, I'm going to be this in my company. And then you can see it and you say it and you affirm it and you write it out, hundreds of times maybe. But there's that inner self, that secret self that says, yeah, right. You can't have that. It hasn't happened yet. What are you talking about? You don't know anybody that's actually done that. Or, yeah, they did it, but you're not doing that. That's the misalignment. Because we can project out to the world, right? Like this image of this very successful, all put together person that has like all the confidence and, be posting, like putting the perfect pictures and all the right words all together. And it looks like from the outside, oh, it's all aligned. She's got it. Sounds amazing. And then on the inside, you're like, I wish I could figure out how to make that reality. I wish I could show up like this, or like, I don't know how. I know I want it, but I don't know how to bring her out. Right? Because that negative chatter comes in and you build this vision, and then all of a sudden it's like, and it comes and like knocks you down at your knees, right? Like it takes the wind out from underneath you, and you're like, ugh, not there yet. Keep working, keep affirming. But you know what? Nothing will ever change until you change the chatter, until that belief that you have on the inside is shifted to something different. And so that is where the alignment comes in, because once you start to like shift that conversation on the inside and believe what you're affirming on like your affirmations or your writings, or what you're posting about, and really start to see yourself as her and be able to show up that way and believe it, that's when it shifts. That's when you align. So first we have to get a picture. So many of you may have already been through some of my workshops, done some of this riding with me, but we're going to just go back and do it again, because you need to create that clarity around what it is that you want, right? Because we have the awareness of where we are. Right now, you're not where you want to be. None of us are. And the funny reality is we're never, it's never going to be done, right? Like as soon as you like reach that space, you're like, yes, I reached my goal. There's going to be another one after it. There's going to be something else to step into, to grow into, right? And so the work's never done. So it doesn't matter what level of success, whether you're, or where you are in your journey, there's always growth. So it doesn't matter if we've already done this work together or if you're coming and doing this with me for the first time, you will get something out of this, I promise. So the first thing I would love for you to do is recognize that there is absolutely nothing wrong with you. You are exactly where you are meant to be right at this very moment. And the fact that you're here just means that you are at that space and that level where you are ready to grow into that next space or that next level. Allow that more of yourself out and to show up. So we all came in to this experience. I believe we are spiritual beings having a physical experience as humans. And so we came in completely wide open. So there was infinite potential. There was nothing that we couldn't do, right? If you think of it, a baby, it comes in and it's just a open basket, right? Its mind is open and it's just absorbing. Everything that's around it, everything that's spoken, everything that's showed to it, it just takes in, right? And I'm going to do a little visual. So I'm not high tech enough to know how to do it on my computer so you can see it. So I'm just going to write it here. So we'll just imagine that this little thing is like the baby coming in wide open, ready to receive, right? And it just, everything that's around just pours in, right? It's being programmed. That's why we speak the language we speak. We have the beliefs that we believe. We eat the things that we eat because that's what was around us. It was poured in, right? And then probably around the age of 7 or so, we get this sealed part of it where we are able to create our own thoughts and make our own decisions on things. And so this, I want you to imagine this as being your mind. So this is the subconscious where our programming lies. And that's where all of our beliefs, that's where all of our habits, all of our behaviors, all that stuff is started. And then this up here is your thinking mind. So your conscious mind, right? Where all the book learning, where all of the, past experiences and all that stuff all goes here. So this is the thinking mind, and then this is the feeling mind. And so we have been essentially programmed, right? By the people that were around us, by our parents, by their experiences, like you're programmed. And this is where all of our behaviors lie, right? And then we come in and we're like, get all this knowledge and wisdom, right? We go to school and we read all these books and you do all the self-help books and you gather all this information, but you're still behaving in the same way. Why is that? There's all this chatter, right? Some of it's positive, some of it's negative, but there's all this chatter. Well, and you know better, but you're still doing the same things. Well, I'll tell you a secret. So this feeling part is what puts your body into action or takes you out of action. So this little body, that's your body, that's your human space, right? And all that is coming in, like everything's energy, it's all vibrations. And, you know, my glass is energy, like my phone is energy, like everything's just energy. And it's what we choose to do with it that determines what direction we go, right? So there's infinite energy pouring into us at all times. You know, that's the input, that's the thoughts. And we get to choose what direction we go with it, whether it's positive or negative. Well, whatever we connect with emotionally, then that puts us in a vibration that either is going to propel us forward or pull us back. So when we are like speaking, oh, I'm going to be the top of my company, I'm going to make $100,000 a month. We say that all up here. We know it's possible. We've seen the you know, evidence. Other people are doing it, right? But why aren't we actually doing it? It's because you have this negative chatter down here that says, yeah, that sounds good, but remember the last time you did this? Didn't happen. Or, yeah, but look at them. They could do it, but you don't know enough yet. Yeah, you're not good enough to do that. You don't deserve to do that. You're not worthy, blah, 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 whatever that chatter is, right? That is what is this, that's what is in that secret self, right? Like all those beliefs. And the only thing, so let's talk about what a belief is. A belief is something that's been spoken to you over and over and over and over, right? And when you first heard it, maybe it was just something in passing, but then you heard it again and again and again and again. And then you're like, oh, well, this must be real. This must be the truth, right? And so that creates a belief. And then with that belief, you have an emotional attachment to it, right? Well, and oftentimes it's, you know, around what we're capable of, what we're able to do, and all of that. Or it could have been that somebody came and said something or did something and you emotionally attached to it right away. And we're like, you know, maybe it like lifted you up or maybe it pulled you down. But you claimed that belief immediately in that moment, right? So that's the awareness that we're coming from, is it doesn't matter where you are in your journey. And what is life? Life is the journey of self-awareness, like self-discovery, right? Learning into tapping into that inner power and going out and being, doing, having all the things and the experiences. So we have this awareness of where our beliefs and our programming came from, right? Which the ones in this bottom part, which is your subconscious mind, this is the one that just is on autopilot all the time, okay? This is those habits. You just have a way of someone says something and you automatically respond or react in a certain way. Some people call it triggered, but I call it activating. Someone activates you and then you respond in a certain way. That is just a habit, right? Or you see someone on social media like having an amazing success in their launch or, you know, their vacation, and you're like, oh, I love that, but I could never have that. It's never going to happen for me, right? Like that's just a habit of thinking, right? And so how we first have to have the awareness of where these habits come from, and that like literally 98% of your day is just automatic. It's just you're running on autopilot. You have this habit of being the way that you are, and you are absolutely amazing. You're exactly where you are meant to be right at this exact moment. Okay? Because you're here. You're doing an amazing, amazing thing. And there's you have a purpose. And you're growing into that awareness of how to fulfill it and how to be it. Okay. So we know that we want more, but some of us don't really know what that is. Maybe you have just, you know, achieved some goals, some dreams that you've had for a long time. And now you're like, what's next? I don't know. I remember um I had this dream of becoming a massage therapist. I thought I had it all figured out. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to massage school. I know I don't want this, right? But I want this. And then I went, I did it. I was working in my chosen career. And then I went to my best friend and I was like, I've achieved all my goals. I don't know what to do, right? I think I was 23 at the time. I was so young. And I was like, and he was like, just make new dreams. I was like, oh, okay. So, but some of us aren't taught how to do that. And so we're going to go through part of that. But I also want to help you to recognize that your way of thinking, like everything is created twice, right? It's created twice. It's first created in the mind, and then it's created in the physical. So I think it was Van Gogh. Someone asked him, like, how do you make such amazing, beautiful pictures? And he said, first, I dream my painting, and then I paint my dreams. Right? Like he had to envision it. He had to like internalize it and be it and feel into it and get really connected with it first. And then it flowed out. Right. And that was effortless. And so everything is created twice. So we can create this beautiful vision. But if we can't quiet that inner chatter, right? Because they also say that we are our only problem, which is true. You can literally accomplish anything and everything. There is nothing that's different from one person to another than what they believe they can do, right? So that is the only thing that separates us. You can have someone that has the exact same education, right? They go through school, they have all the same opportunities, they even get a job at the same place, right? They all have the exact same opportunities before them. They have the same education, everything. One skyrockets and one doesn't do much. Why? Because one was limiting themselves and one believed they could. And knew, like, oftentimes these ones are what we call unconscious competence, right? They just like feel themselves into this like amazing space and they don't even know how they did it, right? And so that's where the gap is. Well, my friends, am going to help reveal the how and help you to be able to quiet the chatter and shift it in a different direction. Because you are also the only solution to allowing that amazing dream that you have to come into reality. right? We are so good at like looking outside of ourselves. Maybe it's this, maybe it's this, maybe this person has the answer, or maybe this person has the answer, or maybe it's this strategy. I cannot tell you how many times in my network marketing career I jumped from strategy to strategy. My poor team. I was like jumping, 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 and like, because I thought it was outside of me, but it wasn't until and I did that for so long. And I did get further and further up, and then I plateaued, and I was there for a very long time. And it wasn't until then that I realized, you know what? Something in here has to shift. That's the thing that's standing in the way. I was saying all the positive things. I was writing, I was affirming, I was doing the exact things that my leaders were telling me to do. Yet I wasn't getting where I wanted. I wasn't in alignment. I was taking all the actions, doing all the things, but dang it, if this inner chatter was not swiping my legs out from under me and keeping me stuck. And so, how do we switch this? Well, first, we have to get a clear vision of what that thing is that we want. So I'm going to create it as like a pizza, right? So let's say that we go to a restaurant and a waiter comes and he says, "What would you like?" "I would love food." And he's like, "Oh, awesome. You've come to the right place. We definitely have food." "What kind of food?" "Something yummy." And he's like, "Okay, we got that," right? And so then you're just like, "Okay, I would love pizza." And he's like, "All right." So he goes, takes the order to the kitchen, and brings the pizza to you. And it has pepperonis and anchovies and olives and peppers and God knows what else, right? Like it just has all this mishmash of stuff. And it is definitely not what you or your stomach had in mind, right? We weren't clear enough with our order. So the same thing goes for source, where all things come from, right? Infinite intelligence. It's constantly coming and going. All of us have manifested things, brought things into our reality before. And sometimes things showed up and we're like, "I got it, but that's not exactly what I wanted," right? Like, lots of people, they say, "I would love more money." And so you go out for a walk and you see a penny on the ground, and source is like, "Yep, in my job, she got more money," right? How much more money would we love? More than a penny, I'm sure, right? Or "I would love a raise." So we would love a raise in our jobs, or more clients, right? Or another sale. And so, you get connected with that, and then you receive it, but it's not exactly what you wanted. Well, all we need is more clarity. So going back to our food reference, let's say that you call a pizza place, right? So we're calling source and saying, "Okay, I would love to have a pizza," right? And you know that they deliver and it's in the area and all that, yeah, all that jazz. So you get on the phone and you say, "I would love a pizza. I want a large pizza with pepperoni and olives, no anchovies, no sausage, no ham, no pineapple, but I do want red peppers, sun-dried tomatoes, but no cheese. No, I don't want extra cheese," right? And the person on the other side is like, okay, they want pepperoni and ham and sausage and eggs and," right? They're like, they're just writing everything down because you're telling them all the things that you want and they don't want, and they're just getting confused, right? And so either the order is going to go to the chef and he's going to be like, "What? Really? Are you sure?" Like, hmm. Or you're going to then get what you don't want or what you do want all together, right? Like, we have to be clear. And we oftentimes put more emphasis on the things that we don't want, right? Like that's the focus because we know very dramatically that that's not what we want, but that is what ends up being heard the most on the other end of the phone. I don't want ham or pineapple or, right? And so they're writing down ham, pineapple, like it's confusing. So we have to be very clear. And somehow sometimes we need to know what we don't want. We need to have that contrast before we can know what we do want, right? So when we're putting in our order, we have to make sure that we are only focusing on what we would love. We only talk about what we would love to receive. So we call and we make our order and we say, "Hey, I would love a large pizza with extra cheese and extra pepperoni and sausage and sun-dried tomatoes." All right, it's gonna be so much money and it'll be there in 20 minutes. And we hang up the phone and we're like, now we know that they are getting exactly, we're gonna have the most amazing pizza and it's gonna be here in 20 minutes. So then we just sit here in joyful expectation, right? They have our address, they know where we are, and they are going to work on it. Easy peasy, we don't have to worry about it. But what do we do? When it comes to us asking for our manifestations, what we desire, we go in and we say, we put in our order, this is what I would love. And then we start asking, where is it? Where is it? It's not happening yet, right? Is it coming yet? Why isn't it here? It's been 2 days, right? And we start like we go and we call the pizza place. "Hey, have you put in my order yet? Have you started cooking it yet? Can I come and like watch you make the dough and like make the pizza to make sure you do it right? And then I'll give you my address again. So then you can come and deliver it." Like, oh my gosh, you are just royally upsetting this cook. And he's just gonna get frustrated and like shut you out. Or it's just gonna continue to delay the delivery, right? Because you're not letting him do his job. Another way of seeing it is you are like planting seeds, right? So we have this garden and we have infinite, you know, things that can rise from this garden. And we plant the seed and we say, "I would love this." And then you put the soil over, water it. And then day later, we're starting to doubt, where is it? I don't see it yet. Maybe a week later, nope, nothing's happening yet. Like I have to, and you go and you start digging up that seed. Make sure it didn't get eaten by a bird or, like it's not a that dead rotten one or whatever. And so you pull up that seed and you're like, "Oh, it's okay." And you sat it back down and the process has to start all over again. We just pull up our seeds over and over. And it's never allowed to like take form because we're so busy like ripping it up. So there's this beautiful space of when we come into alignment, right? We recognize like what we would love. That's absolutely it's here for us. There was a reason why you had it come into your mind or had the idea or got activated. This idea got activated in your mind because it's for you. It's meant for you. You know how many things like are happening in every single moment that your mind cannot process or like even it picks and chooses, right? What it can process. And so if you're scrolling, God knows, you scroll on Instagram or you scroll on Facebook and then something pops out and you're like, ooh, that's really pretty. Or, oh, wow, I would love to go on a vacation there, right? You know how many other pictures you scrolled by, but that was the one that like attracted you. Means it's meant for you, right? And then all that, no, it's never gonna happen. You don't have enough money. Who has the time? Blah, 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 right? And then that picture, that idea, you start dissolving it before it even gets a chance to take root and like take form. So we have to like quiet that inner critic. And how do you do that? Well, you first have to become aware of when they're raising their voice and when they're stepping up and saying, hey, no, that's not for you. And you can say, oh, hey, you, I know you. Thanks for showing up. No, I don't believe that story anymore because you know what? All of these things are created by stories that, we see in pictures. And so if I asked you to go imagine your first car, and you can put it in the chat if you would like. What was your first car? Did it have 2 doors or 4 doors? Ooh, a Saturn. What color was it? Dark green. So, did it have a sunroof? What was the interior color? What were the color of the seats? So, when we're visualizing or going back, we're looking at a picture in our mind, right? Base model, no sunroof, gray interior. Cool. Right? So we go to a picture in our mind and we like literally see it. And sometimes people can't remember the inside interior until they imagine themselves sitting in the car and then they're like, "Oh yeah, it was gray interior and it was like the pleather and maybe the seats were cracked or whatever that was." So we see in pictures, right? So when our mind speaks up and it attaches to a story, right? So it automatically and lots of times it's unconscious, you know, but it's like, nope, remember that time when so and so said something? Nope, it's not meant for you. You're never gonna you're never gonna become anything, blah, 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 blah. Right? So first we have to become aware that that inner critic is even speaking because it's so unconscious and we are just so in the habit of just flowing with whatever that thought is. And like, I mean, it's almost as if when we're driving, I know everybody's had this experience that drives, like you get so you're just driving and then you get caught up in some thought story somewhere and then before you know it you are at your destination and you're like you missed like 20 minutes but you made all the turns and you were safely like gotten there, right? Like nothing negative happened. It was automatic. You were on autopilot. We oftentimes in our lives, unless you learn how to shift this consciousness, are running on autopilot. And so these, that inner self, that secret self, that's used to being in control. That's what affects your emotions or controls your emotions. And your emotions is what controls like what direction you go in life, whether you take action or something or whether you shrink back, you know? And so if you and something to be aware of, like this chatter that's inside, it's like a con artist, right? Like your conscious mind, the thinking mind is meant to give you ideas and ooh, I could do this or I could do that. It's to see all of the opportunities and to receive them when they come in, right? And then the subconscious is meant to keep you safe, right? That is, are you sure that you want to do that? Because last time it didn't work out so well. So let's just stay over here where it's nice and comfortable, even though this isn't really where you want to be. But we know what this space feels like, and we are such in a habit of being in this space and being this person. Let's just stay over here, right? Like it takes you out of like that bigger dream and out of like stepping into that greater possibility and that greater power. So we call that like the con artist. And it's not bad. It's meant to keep you safe, but that's also an old program. You're at this space where you are ready to jump into the next level. Well, you know why that secret self is rising its head? Because it doesn't know what's on the other side of that. It's never been there before. You've never done this in this space before, right? And so it's scary. It doesn't feel safe, right? And so it's like, "Yeah, let's pull you back over here and let's stay safe over here," right? So, no, I don't think that's for you because I don't know what you have to do in order to get XYZ or to make $100,000 a month or, be top of your leaderboard. Like, you've never done that before, right? And so it starts chatting at you and starts like, and then you go on this endless cycle around in your head that eventually you listen to and then it pulls you out, right? Well, and then there's been times where we've been like, no, I'm going to do this. And we propelled ourselves forward, right? So but likely you've gotten to a space where you're like kind of been here for a little bit longer than you would like to be here. And why have you been here longer than you want to be? Because you're not sure how to change that old pattern or that old program so that you can really step into that alignment with where you really want to be and what you want to go, where you want to go. So until like the positive thought processes and like affirmations, the visions, the dream life, like until like that comes in alignment with this inner conversation where you're like, yes, yes, and yes, let's do this. We are doing this. Like, and everything flows. It's just like effortless and it all comes together and it seems like opportunities come and then the people come and the money comes and it's just beautiful, right? Like that's when that magic happens. But here where you're like, this is where I'm going, I really want it, I really want it, and then you've got like this thing that's dragging you back the whole way, and that's where the hustle is, that's where the grind is, that's where the struggle is because like you're trying to go forward and then you've got this thing pulling you back and you're going forward and this thing is pulling you back and you keep like trying different strategies and doing the different things but you just can't seem to get there. We got to quiet that mind mess and basically like upgrade that thought process, allow it to come into alignment, right? But it's not going to do it on its own. And thankfully, I do have a couple amazing tips to be able to help you get there. Tomorrow, we will go more into that. Today, we're going to help you become more clear on what it is that you would love, okay, to help create this greater vision that you would love to step into, right? Because we don't want the pizza with the anchovies and the olives and the onions and, all the stuff, right? Or just the stuff that you don't want, because that's what keeps showing up, because that's what you keep telling source that you would love, don't love. It doesn't judge anything. Like, it just takes whatever you are focused on, right? What's presented. So today, I'm going to give you one activity. I would love for you to sit down and get out a notebook and just write down 50 things that you would love. You could do two different lists, and you could start 25, right? And then, so 25 things that you would love personally in your personal private life, and then 25 things that you would love in your business. And then tomorrow, like, that will help you to like get that clearer vision on what it is that you want to create, so that you want to align with. And so here's the thing, is typically people start this list and they get to like 4 or 5, and then they're like, I have no idea, right? We're not used to like expanding and dreaming this big. So take some time, get relaxed. I have my seltzer water and put some nice music on, and just allow yourself to dream. And if you need some like cues, then get on like Instagram, or I love Pinterest, and you can scroll and look for just different things that you would love, whether it's vacations, whether it's a new car, whether it's new clothes, or like, you can search anything and get some ideas. Would you love someone to come in and clean your house once a month or every week? Do you want fresh flowers? Like, what would you love? And then tomorrow, we will come back, and you're going to use the same exact link for tomorrow's meeting at the exact same time. And we will go more deeply into aligning yourself with these desires and already connecting that you can have them, that they're for you, and if you feel drawn to, you can go into the Facebook community and share how this part of your journey is. Like, if it was easy coming up with your list, or if you had to go and search different things, like, share your journey. It's all part of the growth, and also lets other people see that they're not alone, that we all come from the same spaces. So that's it. Recognizing where these belief patterns come from, and where that chatter comes from, the habits of thinking and believing and showing up, and also where the pictures get distorted, or why we don't receive or manifest the things that we want. Lots of times because the truth of the matter is you are manifesting 100% of the time, right? But oftentimes our focus and attention is so much on what we don't want, that's what keeps showing up. Or you just keep noticing the things around you, and if all you can see is what's happening right now in your world, like, that's what you're going to continue to see. And that's what, that's why every day ends up looking very similar for lots of people. So being able to expand out of that, and then starting to tap in and connect with what you would really love, starting to build that dream to connect with, because we can't You need to have a dream goal, somewhere to go towards, right? Because otherwise you're just going to stay right where you're at. So, and the other thing is, don't be judgmental or critical. If you see something and you love it, put it down. I love Pinterest because I can make my own like little dream boards. You can add things to different boards. And I'm like, ooh, yes, I love that and that and that. And you can just add them to and like make a little like vision board for yourself. So today's homework, make your 50 plus list. If you want to start with 25 for each personal and business, then do that. And then I will meet you same place, same time tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Thank you so much for showing up and being present. And I look forward to growing with you more tomorrow. All right. Expect abundance, my friends. Talk soon.